Hey, Barak Yahweh, Barak Yahweh Shai, Barak Yahweh, Barak Yahweh Shai, Barak Yahweh, Barak Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone. Honor to you, brothers. All praise unto Yahweh Shem Yahshai. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone. Honor to you, brothers, that be pushing this truth and sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. And I wanted to do this video right here because if you're looking at the markets, the economic markets, the global economic markets out there, and you're trying to get a gauge what type of economy or point in the economy that we're at, whether that's in a recession, whether we are the market's growing, okay, or the strength of the dollar pound is increasing. I think the best or good measure, not necessarily the best, but good measure is to see the number of defaults in loans across the board, and especially student loans across the market and across the globe. Because pretty much what you're going to see from this article is when you understand how a student loan works and how it defaults, then basically you can pretty much get a good, if not an accurate feel for how the economy has been doing for a certain amount of time. So when you have a student loan, you borrow a certain amount of money for you to study as a young man or woman, okay, and you go to study, and the understanding of that loan is that you're gonna pay that money back, okay, when you are earning a certain amount, and that money defaults, okay, when you get to a certain amount of time, well, after a certain dispensation of time, okay, if you can't afford to pay that loan, okay, then that loan is defaulted. That is to say, you don't have to pay it back. So if you have it to where 100% of all student loans are being paid off, what could be accurately assumed is that you have a booming market, a booming economy, because everybody is meeting up with their creditors. Okay, the same thing works with the housing market. If you have a housing boom, not necessarily a housing boom, because really a housing boom is reflected by is a reflection of interest and times where you have high interest and low interest, okay, where it's made to attract customers. But pretty much when you have a low interest period, you're gonna have a housing boom, but because you have cheap mortgages. But remember, you got to remortgage every so often. So when you have it to where people are defaulting on that mortgage, then you can pretty much say that the economy is not in a good state. Okay, so hopefully that makes some type of sense. But applying the same theory back to these student loans, if you got 10 years to pay that student loan back, otherwise you default, and we say 40% of people are defaulting on that. That means to say 40% of university students are not finding the work, okay, so that they could pay back that loan over a 10-period year. That means to say the economy is doing pretty damn bad, okay? It's doing pretty damn bad. We're not talking about the average Joe, it's about your so-called affluent, middle class, because affluent students would tend to, which is the upper echelon of society, they tend to pay without the need of credit. Okay, they tend to pay cash up front. Okay, but for the middle class, you would have to get your loan because it costs to do business. Okay, and if you get the right degree, okay, that could be very useful. Okay, going further. So let's go into this. Let's get into this. It says, as the student loan bubble continues to burst, record numbers of Americans enrolling in government subsidized student loans debt forgiveness plans, okay, known as income-driven repayments, which was what I was explaining a second ago, are on track to send a U.S. student loan program into a negative territory, according to the report of Department of Education Inspector General. Okay, so that's kind of explanatory, self-explanatory. I've explained most of it as the intro to this video. Okay, so let's carry on. It says the plans known as income-driven repayments set monthly repayments as a percentage of the borrower's earning and typically forgives the balance after 10 to 25 years. Okay, depending on the borrower's career field and the amount. Okay, so you get a loan, I don't know, 25,000, 45,000, whatever, and you have a system, and the same thing applies out here within the UK. You get a certain amount of debt you acquire to go to study, and then that debt's broken down into into monthly repayments, and you have the government will pay up, okay, after if you default, okay, if you can't pay that after 10 to 25 years, okay. So overall, borrowers in income-driven repayments will pay less than what they originally borrowed. The report said, draining the program of billions of dollars in expected revenue. Okay, it says, as we reported last month, nearly 40% of student loans taken out in 2004 made default by 2023. That's 40%. Okay, so let's put that into mathematical perspective. Okay, and we apply context to that, because statistics without context could truly be misleading. Okay, statistics without context, it can truly be misleading. What does this 40% really mean? That means to say from 2004 to 2000, a loan was taken around about the period of time in 2004, okay, which was expected to be repaid by 2023. Okay, you're gonna default. Okay, so this repayment scheme, pretty much any job that you apply for, especially out there in the UK, the minute you start earning, that money's taken out your paycheck. So it's not a thing of people are just not paying it back. This is a thing of people ain't got no work, they ain't got no money. Okay, the job economy, the job market is dwindling. Okay, it's on a downward spiral. Okay, right. That's what this is saying, and really, what's not reflected is and I suppose this is where you can have it to where it's a bit misleading, because no one has actually said the job market has increased by a certain amount. Okay, and versus that of which increase or decrease, and then I told these people that borrowed loans, you're gonna get a job after this. Okay, so that's where that's misleading. So if I really try to explain that is to say, let's say you have an increased population going to university, okay, but not necessarily an increase in the amount of jobs out there. So you can be misled by that. You could say that could be an assumption that I've made. So we're assuming here, okay, that the number of people actually studying has remained the same, okay, since prior to 2004. That's the assumption. That's the key assumption, okay. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be pretty much nigh on nigh the same. Now, obviously, there's been an increase in people studying and so on and so forth. So, but there's more evidence to show that the market is really slowing down than people are going to study. Okay, so in any case, okay, we can safely come to the conclusion that this 40% default, okay, is due to, in part is due to dwindling economic drivers. Okay, but like I said, in part it's gonna be due down to the increase in the amount of people that are actually studying and going to uni. But they're finding out is the jobs and careers. The amount of jobs that you haven't actually increased. So, you have to factor that in as well. Okay, so let's carry on here. It says, overall, borrowers in income-driven repayments will repay less. So we read that. So it says, according to the report. So it says nearly 40% of all student loans taken out in 2004 made default by 2023, according to a report by the Brookings Institution, blowing past over previous projections. Okay. So it's a lot of people that can't make those that can't make that make that money back. Okay, it says of note, approximately 5% of undergraduates took a private student loan in 2004, which swelled to 14% undergraduates by 2008. Okay, about 2 million, about 3 million students according to that website over there. It says private student loans, as opposed to federal student loans, are unable to participate in income-driven repayments. The Federal Student Loan System had originally been projected to turn a profit of 25 billion on all of its loans. So that means to say, the principal was paid back by interest, and it was supposed to turn. Because when you have you're a loan shark, you're in the game of, when you're in business and you're a loan shark, you're in the business of making money. Okay, so when you're borrowing out money, you're expecting that to come back with interest, usury, according to the scriptures. Okay, so it says there, on all loans made up to September 30, 2015. However, the number has been raised down to 5 billion. That means, man, there's a lot of people out there that just can't get to work. Okay, there's just no jobs. Okay, like I said, I haven't, really what you have to. We're assuming here, okay, that the amount of jobs is decreasing, not as opposed to the amount of people that are studying it is exponentially increasing. Because if you got it to where exponential increase in jobs is out there, and you got it to where you got booming, you got it to where you got the same amount of jobs. Well, of course you're not gonna have those loans repaid, because you got the same amount of jobs. Okay, you've gone to study to work in the same place where the amount of jobs has always been the same. Okay, but obviously you got to factor that in. Okay, so you got it to where that's a whole 20 billion that was expected to be pocketed, that's not getting pocketed. Okay, and that just goes to show you, at the very least, okay, the student studying is a scam at the very least. And we can almost, and I say almost, safely assume that the jobs market is not reflected in the amount of people that are going out there to study. Okay, and it's more likely, we could say this: if you've got population, 40% of the population is not working, and they've taken out all kinds of loans, then we can safely assume that the jobs are dwindling. Okay, so hopefully that was of the edification anyway. Lord's will, I'll see you on the next one. All praise unto Yahweh Hashem Yahshua. Double honesty, apostle, great millstone, and honestly, brothers, that we pushing this truth in sincerity. Shalom.